All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order, have the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was a lot. Thank you for joining in. Roll call.
Trustee Malinsky.
Here.
Trustee Trombley.
Here.
Trustee Trombley.
Here.
Trustee Garrett.
Here.
Mayor McFetrich.
Here. A motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting,
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Any corrections?
Yes.
I didn't see it in there.
Nikki?
The village board meeting schedule. Today's date is not there.
Oh, I missed that.
Speak up, Nikki.
She has November 16th, not the 9th on there.
Under the village board meeting schedule, it should be the 9th rather than the 16th.
We're a week early.
Gotcha.
I thought we were having so much trouble.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Presentation of petitions, communications, and general question period for members of the community. Since I only see the water board in front of me and they're up soon, we'll dispense with section 4. Report from the codes enforcement officer. Mike?
Well, you've got my report. I don't really remember what the hell I put in there, but. You asked me to come tonight to talk about the property downtown, the burnt out building. That property has changed hands. The prior owner no longer owns it. He transferred it to a person. I went and spoke to the person about what he's gonna do with the property. And his comment to me was, I'm gonna let the village take it. And I explained to him that he's the owner, he's responsible for all, whatever's gonna happen there, and it didn't seem to faze him any. So, as far as what the village can do, I mean, if you follow your section of the law, basically you would have to file an article in the Supreme Court and at the county, take the property and dismantle it. I don't think you can put it on the tax roll because the county's not taking those buildings, so I don't have a solution for you.
So
This person is not gonna pick up, he's not gonna do anything. I mean, I've set notice of violations, I'm starting that process. Eventually, it's gonna end up going to court, but I don't believe he has a whole lot of money, so the court's not gonna get anything out of him. So it's just gonna linger.
What was the purpose of his purchase?
I think it was a strategic move. I mean, he transferred the property for $1. So, you know, he got out from under it, and this poor guy, I'm not sure he knows what he got himself into. You know, his thought was that somebody's gonna come along and offer him $5,000 and, you know, he'll have $5,000 and he's got nothing now. But that's not gonna happen,
Wow.
so.
So we proceed as we have on our books and our code and,
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point where the village would have to, you know, speak with the attorney, and the next step would be the Supreme Court litigation. But you're gonna be spending money then, I don't know that you can recoup.
Mike, now that it's a new owner though, is there anything we have to repeat that we've already done?
That I don't know, I would assume not, because when he bought it, you know, he bought it supposedly knowing what he was getting. If you do your due diligence, that's part of purchasing property. So.
Wow.
any recommendations at all for us?
I don't have any recommendations as to how we could get him to, I mean, he doesn't appear to me to be a person that has money to spend on the project. So I just don't, I don't have a warm and fuzzy feeling for it, put it that way. I mean, I sent him a notice of violation here recently about the burdocks and the high grass and some of the junk, you know, from the fire that's down there. But, I mean, I'll push that for a little while, but once it starts to snow, I mean, it's kinda hard to bring somebody to court for that.
Fellow board members, do you have suggestions?
I think that we can't leave another abandoned, burned out property downtown.
No,
I
yeah,
think
move
we
forward.
need to further investigate this, if it needs to go through the court system, then I think that's what we're gonna have to do.
Mhm.
I agree.
We've got a burnt out property on Cedar Street that's never been taken care of. It was supposed to be fixed up, the individual only did what they absolutely had to do. And it looks like we're gonna be faced with another instance on Main Street with the same thing. And we can't have this. It's unsafe for village residents.
Right,
I agree.
I agree.
I'm just worried that it didn't restart a clock for something, so what have we served to Mr. Tate so far?
Nothing, he transferred the property while we were in the process of, I had the letters ready to go out to him.
But
And he had transferred the property a month or so before when he was telling us that he couldn't do anything
Right.
because the insurance had a hold on it.
that's what he told us,
So,
but then he transferred the property.
yeah,
So these letters need to be readdressed to the new owner and sent out in order to make this illegal stuff?
I don't know, I think you need to speak with your village attorney first before
Yeah.
we do anything more.
I did speak to Tom Renane once about it, and he admitted it was going to be a tough nut to crack. But we'll just proceed. We'll proceed as best we can according to the law, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Mike, what was the issue with the insurance? Why was it even on hold if he had insurance on his property?
He claimed that it was pending litigation or settlement.
So could he collect money on this insurance and not do anything with the house?
That I don't know. I don't know what his situation with the insurance company was. I mean,
No,
he's told us a couple of different stories, so.
Do you know who the insurance company is?
No.
And now we're dealing with a different individual, so it makes it really tough. Are there other questions for Mike off of his monthly report?
No, thanks, Mike.
Anyone else have any questions?
No,
I just had a question, and maybe you already talked about it and I didn't hear it. And that was tree government concerning sale of property? What's that about?
oh, the one on Oak Street?
Yeah.
Oh, that was Morlock's former property.
Oh, okay.
The guy that bought it, he found a buyer to purchase the property.
Oh, okay.
He had a lot of questions for me. I just met with him for a couple hours one day.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you all have fun.
Thanks, we will. All right, I'm going to move the water board report up to now, so Mike and Mike don't have to stay here all evening. And I'm going to move the Zoom meeting over to Tom.
Hi, Amy. Thank you. Yeah, just turn this way a little bit.
Yeah, you do whatever, I just didn't want it
And
to
I
fall
can try
over
to
there.
turn it, these guys if they speak, I guess. Okay, so, I'm not really certain how we wanna present this, so I'm asking the rest of the board, I'm asking the village board, do you wanna, you've all reviewed it.
Yeah.
Do you wanna go over each section and just give us any questions you have regarding them? Or do you want us to actually read?
Oh, no, let's go over the section, maybe a quick summary, and then ask for questions from the board.
Okay.
Is that okay with everyone?
Okay, so, in reference to debt service, of course, that was, based on the total EDU count between village and town not exceeding the 40, exceeding or reducing by 40, that 40 threshold. So even though we both had increases, it didn't change anything, so that got recalculated, as you can see in the synopsis. The total payment due this coming year is $304,552. And the debt payment for the village is $98,859.51, and the town is $205,692.49. In regards to water rates, so right now what I'm doing is I'm just following the synopsis, and I'll just, I guess, add in a few things, and then we can talk with questions if you want. Did you have any questions on debt service?
I have none.
Okay. So when we looked at village water rates, we found that they can remain at the current standing rate of $5.25 a kgal for residential and for commercial, with the same service charge and quarterly minimum. The town district rates were recommending to be reduced from $7.22 a kgal to $6.25 a kgal, and as you see it, you must have read section 2 for details. It's due to the O&M significantly increasing. Does everybody see where we came up with that recommendation, or do you have any questions in regards to that? 'Cause that's a biggie.
I understand how it got calculated.
Okay.
And this is just a report. So if you do have questions, be sure and ask. I guess there are none, unless,
Do you have any, Amy?
No, I want you to go through and then I'll ask if you don't clarify as you go along, if you don't mind.
Okay, then I guess you're gonna want me to go to section 2 so you can
Yeah.
understand how we came up with that.
she's waiting for section 2.
Okay, Mike, that's where you calculated the raw cost of water, which, doesn't apply directly to why we're recommending reducing the town district rates. It's more where, in section 2, where we talk about, however, the water board has determined that a reduction in town district charges is required, it's due to the substantial increase in the revenue from the town in the annual O&M payment. The O&M payment is now calculated based on specific metrics of the water plant, divided between the two municipalities based on the overall ratio of EDUs, as per the IMA. So, to sum that up, we're increasing by almost $11,000 in income of O&M. You know, and you might say, well, that's due coming to us based on how we calculate it, which is true, but it's now income. And if we didn't recommend lowering that town district rate, then the poor folks in the town district that are already paying a lot are gonna have to pay an extra buck per kgal in order to make that up. At the very least, it could increase their rates more. So it balances for us, is what I'm trying to say. You guys wanna add to that at all?
Essentially, it
So
comes
will
down,
that reduction that we are giving to the town be passed on to the users in the town?
No,
Well, no, 'cause it ends up, hopefully, for other reasons in the report, if you read about when we evaluated the town's rates, hopefully they do find some, they have reason, what's the word I wanna look for? They probably can lower some based on whatever their new budget is, which we didn't have, so I don't know if there's something out there down the road I don't know about. But simply because they're spending an extra $11,000 to pay us, they're still gonna have to get that money from their users. So that dollar break that we give them, no, they will not reduce the rate by $1, they'll have to leave it the same in order for that to balance.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Mike, did you wanna add something? Mike was about to speak.
yeah, I was just going to say that, currently, the town pays annually $30,000 for the O&M
Mhm.
to the village. And this would be a substantial increase to that. It'd be $40,000, 900,
Mhm.
something in that respect. So reducing the water rate would compensate for that increase.
Which our intent is not to increase the burden on the district users that are already paying a substantial amount for the water, and try to alleviate some of that cost. Cause if we didn't lower our rate, and based on our evaluation of our needs, this meets our budget here in the village. Easily, because we're getting the other income through O&M.
Yeah,
That's the reason. Any other questions in regards to water supply? And additionally, Amy, if you look at section 2, Mr. LaFontaine calculated the raw cost of water, and as you can see, the raw cost of water is $5.92 a kgal. And you might wanna talk to that, why that five, cause you may look at that and go, well, how can it cost us $5.92 to make water and we sell it for $5.25? I mean, I know there's other income coming in besides the kgal amount, such as the service charges and the O&M. But it's also due to the overall expenditures, correct?
Right, it's really pretty simple. I take the expenditures for the year, and in this case, it is 250,000, let's say. And then you take the total amount of water produced. You have the gallons billed and the gallons not billed, for a total of 42,000 kgal. So you take the expenditure and divide it by the number of gallons produced, and you come up with $5.92.
Right.
One thing, and it was brought up here in the report, that almost 11,000, it would be 11 million gallons, but 11,000 kgal is not filled. And that's a result of flushing the water system at the wells. So that's a substantial amount.
And there's also the effluent at the plant. as
Yeah,
well.
that's
That's what he needs, I think.
yeah.
Flushing the break, water breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
Hydro flushing, but I think he also needs, any, with softening, the softener, it's
Yeah,
always.
it's effluent that goes out every day.
Right.
So yeah, there's a large amount of water that's lost, it's not just from breaks.
Right, so 25% of the water that we use is wasted.
Correct.
Correct.
It's lost, and is the cost of all that lost water just on the village users, or is that spread out amongst everyone now?
Well, it's spread out amongst everyone in regards to the sale of the water. That's why,
Right, but there's no sale of the lost gallons. There's no sale of that, that's loss.
Can't bill.
It's included in the price of the cost of the water.
yeah,
correct. So in other words, you have to incorporate that in there. If it's costing you that to make the water, then you have to have enough income to balance it. So in other words, you could never sell water for $2 a kcal, cause guess what, you're gonna go in a hole. Okay, so, then under O&M, so the water plant expense data provided by the Village of Champlain was evaluated by the water board. And we had to identify appropriate expense metrics to be used. And those are as follows. A portion of the administration costs, we had to pull out the portion pertaining to the labor at the plant and the, here in the office in regards to billing. We had to use just the water plant insurance, pull out what that cost is for the whole plant. We included the town district water flushing, which was both the labor and the cost of water at $5.92 a kgal. Then there's supplies, equipment, state agencies cost, and billing software. And then there's supplies and equipment that's encompassing all your chemicals and your testing. So the O&M owed by the town of Champlain for this coming year is $40,843.48. And that was based off a ratio of 42.2% ADUs for the town and a total adjusted net expense of $96,785.50. So in other words, the net expenses were $96,785.50, and then they're paying 42.2% of that. Any questions on that section?
Very clear, thank you.
Okay. And then during the additional recommendation, so during the evaluation of the O&M and the town expenses, the water board realized that a substantial portion of the town's budgeted expenses was the O&M on both water tanks. The future expenses for the inspections and repair costs are estimated at this time to be approximately $3,000 per tank annually. But that's based on expense data provided by the town, which they had received from Aquastar. So, you know, it's an estimate. We would have to update and get new dollar figures from Aquastar of how much we would need to put aside. So since both tanks service the village and the town in unison, the water board feels that the village should take responsibility for one tank. We are suggesting the Prospect Street tank, and the water board also realizes this would result in a revision to the current IMA, but we feel in fairness this should be considered. The O&M of the old village tank was a standard cost to the village users previously, before we got into this agreement, so it would help alleviate some more of the cost to the town users by doing this. And, I mean, in fairness, we have two tanks, and we had one before, so that's why we made that recommendation. Any questions on that, Amy or Nikki?
My only concern is making any more changes and how long it took for you to get the changes signed on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I just am concerned I'm opening a hornet's nest. I mean, I totally agree that splitting that is great, but, what is the perception from the town and how receptive they are to this, and that it'll get signed and done if we agree to this?
I agree, I share those feelings, trust me. I don't,
Okay.
opening up that IMA is like kicking a bee's nest.
Exactly.
But, this is
Couldn't we just give them a credit instead of changing the O&M? I worry about that. It's a big hornet's nest that I don't think anyone wants to step into again.
The only thing with doing what you're saying, Amy, is then the O&M is not accurate.
The IMA,
The IMA.
the IMA is not
Or the
accurate.
IMA, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna try to do this without documenting it in
Yeah.
the IMA.
Can't you do an addendum to an IMA?
Yeah, I'm sure that's all we'd have to
Yeah,
do.
I mean, that would, we would agree that that's the only thing we're adding. We're not
That's
going
the
in
only
to
thing, not-
renegotiate the whole thing.
Right, just that one thing.
So I think what it would boil down to, Amy, is, the mayor would have to meet with supervisor and agree that, you know, I'm sure they're gonna agree they would accept that, they would want that. And agree that that's the only thing that we are amending and adding to the IMA and go forward with it, without opening the whole can of worms up. I don't know any other way to do it unless we wanna, you know, I think you need to talk to them about it first.
Yeah.
But I guess the point is, you know, does anybody object to it, cause I think it makes sense.
Well, my only concern is what the actual cost is. You know, I just don't know if the numbers we see now, if they're very accurate, I'm not sure, so I can see how it's
And
fair.
once we change that, right, Janet, if it's different, then we're stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to contact Aquastore and get our own quotes.
I've got some quotes coming from another company.
Do you? Mike just said he's got some quotes coming regarding this from another company,
Okay.
so.
So really, the cost should be the same for each tank.
Well, no, because Prospect's gonna be more than the other one, cause it's a bigger tank.
Yeah.
It goes by height, width,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that
yeah, it's quite a bit bigger,
it's shorter.
third more,
It's shorter.
lower to the ground.
It's not the height of those legs.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know they were different size either, Mike.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah, it's a
even
third
looked into
bigger.
that.
It's a third bigger than the other one.
Okay,
I mean, the
Goes
cost
by-
needs to be divided equally, not the group that gets the bigger tank shouldn't be paying more. I mean, I don't think.
and maybe we need to sit down at the table and define how we're contributing and.
We would have to, but first we need these costs anyway. I mean, I don't even know what I don't know if we're really talking about 3,000 annually or not, per tank.
Well, based on what their costs that were listed, and actually that's attached in here, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was just an inspection, correct? That wasn't,
No, it was,
Cleaning.
no, cleaning as well.
Cleaning, everything.
Yeah, it's
I
in the
didn't
back of
see
the
it.
report. But Aquastore has the town front loading a large amount of money into that account. And-
18,000?
Yeah, 18,000 annually, and it doesn't make sense, I don't. And when I asked, well, how long are you, is that just a one-time to front load the account and establish it? And I was told, no, we're gonna be budgeting the same amount for this coming year.
Wait, why would they budget 18,000 per year?
That's our question.
That was our question. We didn't-
18,000 a year?
Yeah,
If it's 3,000, that'd be 6,000 total for both tanks annually.
The only thing that I can think of is that Aquastore wants to make sure that they have a lot of fund balance in there in case one of these larger
Expenses.
expenses comes up quick. That's the only thing I could think of. I didn't get a straight answer.
I don't know, I'd have to learn more about that.
Yeah, they're putting away way too much money.
Um,
But we need to quote first before we go
Yeah.
any further with that. But,
Okay, all right, what's next?
the debt service, nope, I'm sorry. That was the end of the synopsis, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the additional recommendation. So unless you want details throughout the report in your sections, I mean, that sums up what each requirement for us was, which was the debt service, the water supply, the O&M, and now we have this additional as well.
So how is your timeline, how are you planning your timeline in terms of the two parties having their discussion and making their agreements to accept it and to implement changes, and how does your board see that progressing?
Well, I guess this is feeling it out, being the first year here, so
Yeah.
we made these recommendations, as you can see,
Mhm.
if we have the feeling that it's accepted by this board, and tomorrow night when we go to their meeting, we can at least let them know that, you know, nothing's being objected to. And then I got a feeling the two of you are gonna have to communicate, that's why we recommended
Mhm.
a correspondence, letting them know what you intend to do, like if you get to this prospect tank O&M, I would put in there that you need to meet to decide how we're going to accomplish that.
Mhm.
First thing we do is get quotes, see what it costs.
Yeah, we have to see what that quote is.
Yep.
Guess the other thing is seeing your budget's already done for the year. You know, and the town's is gonna be shortly,
Yeah,
so that might change a few things,
Mm-hmm.
good or bad.
yeah, we'll have to consider
Mhm.
some changes, but,
Right, but basically all the data we went through was actual expenses,
yeah.
pretty much.
True.
And I thought Amy had some questions that she said at the end,
Yep, she did.
If they weren't answered.
maybe
No,
they,
it's clear. I really wanted to just go through how you just did. I'm totally understanding of it. I do want the exact amount before we come to that determination, and as I said, I'm very nervous about, making any addendums or changes. And I just have to say, God bless you all for all of this
Yeah.
work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you have taken the reins on this, but I am very nervous about that. I mean, that's all.
I agree, but that's even more the reason why it needs to be in writing in the right place. You know, we don't wanna make a side agreement here that, oh yeah, we'll refund you money or do this or do that without it being in solid writing.
I agree.
well, how does the board feel about the other recommendations
In regards to.
in regards to the financial aspect of it, outside of the water tank?
Yeah, in regards to water, supply water rates, okay?
No big concerns, I certainly see the fairness of it,
Yes.
okay. So if I'm reading you right, and it's hard since two of you aren't here, but,
Here, I'll let you
It
read the
sounds
board
like you're,
members.
it sounds like you're cautiously accepting the recommendations, with the exception of the water tank, we need more information.
I've lived and breathed this document since it started, so I'm in agreement with what's in the document.
All right,
Yeah, any break we can give to the town users, I mean, they're paying crazy rates, we
Yes.
all get this.
Right.
Everybody's hurting right now. I just don't want it to affect the villagers any more than it already has.
correct,
Because
Okay.
we would have never moved forward with this, with the changes that are currently in place. So we have to protect our voters as well, that's the dilemma.
correct,
Correct.
all right. Okay, well, I also just want to add to this water board, I, deeply thank you for all your work, I know it was an absolutely huge task, and, I think you've done a remarkable job. I found this report extremely clear. I know you got the numbers right, and I know Juanita helped a lot, I know Mary helped a lot, I know Mike
They
helped a
did.
lot,
They-
so
they did.
you got input from a fantastic group here as well. But I truly thank you for all that work, it's greatly appreciated.
And we, the board, recognize the office here with all the help they gave us. We thank them for that because we couldn't have pulled it together without getting the information.
Yeah,
So thank you.
does that give the water board enough to, I think you're doing a presentation tomorrow night, and enough to move forward with that from
Mhm.
what you've heard tonight from us?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Very
Thanks.
good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I drop them off after?
Well, side conversation here.
So maybe walking outside and so
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Night. Oh, is it my turn? Report from the mayor? Is that where I am?
Yes,
Yes. Okay, all right. Good evening and welcome to the November Village of Champlain Board Meeting. What a nice stretch of beautiful fall weather that we have been having. However, we know that winter will be here soon. Residents are reminded that there is no parking on the village streets between November 1st and April 1st during the hours of 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. Whoops, 2 a.m. until 6 a.m., got that right. Our snowplow crew does its best to keep the sidewalks and streets passable, and anything blocking these makes this work difficult. Also, please remember that the ban on burning in the village is in effect. Our campfire permit process went well for the most part. I thank all of you for your cooperation. Currently, there is no burning in the village. Thanks to the Champlain Fire Department for organizing the drive-through trick-or-treat, and to Hudson Headwaters, Champlain Memorial Library, Champlain Knights of Columbus, and the Village of Champlain for handing out treats. We had a great turnout of families participating in this safe activity, and it was a ton of fun. I am happy to announce that the Village of Champlain and the Champlain Fire Department are organizing a drive-through parade of lights on December 5th, beginning at 6 p.m. The route will be from Kimpex, down Elm, on to Main, up Church Street, left on South Street, all the way down to Route 11, then turn right, continue on Route 11, and then turn right on Route 9 near the shopping plaza. All spectators will remain in parked cars. If you live on the parade route, of course, you can stand outside of your homes or on your porches. Candy will not be thrown out. And you can get more details on our Facebook page, and there's also an event for this activity. Finally, I would like to commend our Town of Champlain poll workers and the residents for the fantastic response during the recent election. It's so important that people vote and have a voice in government. The long lines at the town hall were a testament to your determination to participate in this process. In addition, those who spent long hours working deserve sincere thanks. The entire operation was well run and efficient. May each of you have a pleasant Thanksgiving in whatever way you are able to celebrate. Continue to wear a mask, stay socially distant, and please watch out for one another. Thank you. Report from the trustees. Nikki?
Yes, the fire department did an awesome job organizing the Halloween trick or treat. My daughter loved it. It was a long line when we got there. The Champlain Library also held a pumpkin carving contest, and there were quite a few pumpkins there. Our judges did an awesome job.
Thank you.
So there were a few local children and adults who won little prizes from the library. So it was a good, quick, fun night.
It was great.
So it looks like we'll do that again next year. You know, some kind of event, same way. I had a couple likes for my October bingo challenge. I did not have anyone return their bingo card, which is okay. And I do plan on having a couple virtual crafting events.
Oh, good.
Maybe another cooking class. With the holidays coming and school not being in session, I'm sure some families will look forward to some kind of fun activity other than remote learning or, you know, staying inside.
Yeah.
That's about it right now. Nothing's planned, but I will have some things coming up that I will
Great.
put online. That's it.
Thank you. Tom?
Okay, first and foremost, Mike, to you and your crew, I know I've said it, but it's gonna be said again. You guys did an awesome amount of work this past month. You put a ton of extra asphalt in to make Prospect Street even better. Cedar Street looks great, and it's really appreciated. You guys really been super, super busy. The water board met October 27th for the first quarter review, and we meet again on January 26th, 2021, to review the second quarter data. So we're hoping this year is gonna go much smoother, meeting once per quarter, starting to put things together gradually, and then at the end of the year, hopefully we can form a report much more efficiently. And
Well, you have the process now.
yeah, that was the biggest thing with this
Yeah.
year. Biggest challenge this year was trying to get that process started, figure out how to start it. The blood drive that was held November 2nd netted 13 successful donors. Still a very good success. I think our numbers may have been down partially due to the weather. I mean, we only had, like, Juanita probably knows, they went out like 4 or 5 times that day for accidents. Cause when I went to help set up, they'd been out three times for accidents that morning. So that may have brought the numbers down a little bit, but it was still a very successful drive. I wanna announce that the Knights of Columbus will be doing our annual senior Christmas dinner this year with the Catholic Daughters, but of course it will be conducted differently due to COVID. This will be a takeout provided by drive-through only. So this is free to all seniors 65 plus in the town and the village of Champlain and the village of Rouse's Point. It's also free for all KFC members that are 65 and over. If anyone under 65 would like a meal, it can be purchased for $10. So in other words, if somebody wants to have dinner with their parents or whatever, they're able to pick up an extra one for $10 for those under 65. This is reservations only by calling Gloria Tatro at 298-8789. So the process is, she will be setting up like, I wanna say 30 reservations per 15-minute slot, or 20 some odd per 15 minutes. They will drive through, we will have them ready for them, prepared inside with a very small crew spread out, and then there'll be men outside bringing them to the car and handing them to them as they pull through.
What's the date again?
December 5th. I don't think I gave the date, so thanks for
No, you
asking.
didn't. I was waiting for it.
December 5th. Kim, do we have a time?
4 to 6 p.m.
Thank you.
4 to 6.
Yeah, I didn't have that on there.
Wait, is that a
Bad.
Saturday?
Yes, it's a Saturday.
That's the parade of lights at 6,
Okay.
so, that's all right.
Yeah.
Except you are gonna have a lot of traffic coming across the bridge by the KFC, so you may have some trouble with people coming in.
At the end, you mean?
Yeah.
We're starting at 6,
Starting
You're
so at
starting
the end of
6.
yours,
We're ending at 6.
Yeah.
So it might not be too bad.
you might encourage people to come early.
Yeah.
They can get their meals, sit in their car and watch the parade.
There you go.
You'll get a huge influx after the 4 o'clock mass.
Oh, right, yes,
Probably be quieter after that.
yeah,
So,
but they could pick up their dinner and go home and watch the parade.
Is the parade also utilizing Oak Street?
No,
Okay,
No.
okay, because I'm hoping to form a one-way lane in and out of that parking lot,
Yeah, that should be fine.
you know, and not have to be out in the street.
A
it'll
lot of
only
people
be at
from
the end.
Kimpex.
Yeah, we're staying at
down
Kimpex,
at
so,
the beginning.
yeah, it's just at the end of theirs is the beginning of
Oh,
ours.
that's
It
right,
should be
so-
fine, it'll be fine,
yeah.
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
easy, it's good.
We'll work with it.
I missed that it was the same date. And is that, now that you brought that up, is that in place of the tree lighting?
Yeah.
or-
We can't do the tree lighting,
Okay.
we can't gather. So we're gonna,
I assume that,
we're gonna sit in our cars and watch lit up vehicles go by.
okay.
We were
You
hoping,
guys still do the candy cane hunt?
We can do some kind of
We-
a
I think we can figure out
scavenger
something,
hunt.
yes.
Yeah,
I think we
can
can
do
figure,
Well,
that's outside.
Yeah,
if you all don't mind, since you brought it up, there was a question that I had at the top of my report. So the Knights of Columbus normally, not normally, but for the past few years has been doing what we call Christmas at 3 Oak, which was a party for the children and then later for the adults, which of course we cannot do this year. So we're trying to put our thinking caps on and come up with something we could do for the kids. And it was brought to me at our meeting last week to talk to the village board to see if there was anything we can coincide with. So if you have any thoughts,
Okay,
you know,
maybe we can do a couple
we-
of
we'd like to do something.
outdoor things.
You know,
Yeah.
we're really at loss. We loved what took place for the Halloween and how safe that worked and
Mhm.
everything. We're
Mhm.
thinking, is there some way we could do something similar? You know, a drive-through with Santa handing stuff out or whatever. So the question was, to me that night was, are we doing the tree lighting? I went, I doubt it, but I will find out,
Mhm. So tell them, yes,
okay?
we can partner, and we just have to figure out what we're going to do. It will probably be the candy cane hunt and maybe something else outdoors.
yeah,
Yeah, it'd have to be outdoors.
yeah.
Yeah,
And when do you think you would do the candy cane hunt?
Usually it's
We
done the
usually do
day,
that, yeah.
it's usually done the day of the tree lighting.
how about if we move it a week later into December? So there's a lot going on with this dinner and this parade.
Yeah.
So let's say that possibly the 12th.
Possibly the 12th, okay. All right, I'll get back to you and or we can talk about it more later if
Yeah.
either of you have ideas on how we can get involved.
Oh, yeah.
We have snow, we should do a snowman contest,
Mhm.
snowman building contest.
How many can we gather outside doing that type of thing?
There's a lot of space.
Park's big.
The park's big,
Yeah.
so,
I mean,
I mean, we get between 30 and 60 for that
Okay.
candy cane hunt. I think that can still be done
oh,
safely.
definitely.
So we're not limited to a specific number in regards to that?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
realistically, we're not gonna get,
You're right. I
So
think our
many that
numbers
we-
are fine,
yeah, our numbers
Within-
won't be that big.
within reason, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll talk more about that later, I won't take up our
Okay.
meeting time. And then I have one other question
Yes,
for you. Where are we at with the brush and trying to find a location and a means
Oh,
of
I-
working on it?
I,
I keep getting asked by.
yeah,
by
I
folks.
posted that people need, if they need to remove their brush, they're going to have to go to Morrisonville to the station down there.
Did you get anywhere with the town? though?
No, I did not. All I got was, the hours that the Morrisonville station is open. That's what I got from the town.
Wow.
So I think I posted that, yeah, I think I put a post up on that,
Listen, okay.
yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but
Leaves they were
that's,
picking up.
leaves, we're
Yes.
still picking up leaves,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I know that.
but not the brush,
I know,
I know,
but
I know it's a
I
problem,
do
but,
keep, different residents keep asking, wanna know if we've got made any headway in finding a location and some way of,
unfortunately
Okay.
not.
hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anything else?
nope, that's all.
Kim?
I really don't have much, and I can't remember if I reported on this last month. I did receive something finally from AARP Challenge. They just asked for an update. I sent, all the information regarding funds that we received, where some of the money came from, the donations, how things were marked. The AARP signed the sign, commending Modern Mechanical for the donations that they did.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard anything back, so I believe that's probably the end of that.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that.
So, and the only other thing is just getting ready to meet with the town tomorrow evening at their meeting.
Yeah,
That goes smoothly.
okay, thank you. Amy?
Yeah, I know, Amy.
So I started the grant, for the garden plot. We're gonna go with a similar, plan that I submitted last year that we did not get, with the 3 different gardens for the different age groups. Vegetable, butterfly garden, and, a flower garden. So I took pictures today, which is part of the requirement for the grant. But I talked with Janet earlier to get some decent pictures of the garden before it was a weed fest. I don't think they'd be too impressed right now with the way
No.
it looks. It's so bad. But whoever has Swiss chard down there in that nice section that's all, weeded, is that yours, Janet?
No, oh, no, oh, no, that's not mine.
Well, there's still Swiss chard, and don't forget about it. It's still good, so my garden is still producing that as well. And if you know anyone who wants horseradish, I have tons of horseradish. Anyway, so starting that grant, that's not due until December 18th, so I was pretty impressed that I started it early, and my plan is to be done by December 1st, so that I can just know once in my life that I was done in plenty advance, not at midnight of submission.
Way to go, Amy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so the Stewart grant will be coming up again quite quickly here. So if you see any other grants that you need, written, just let me know. Or if you have ideas of things that you want or what you're looking for. What are we thinking of for next year? Because both the Stewart grant and the
The Wood, the Robert Wood?
Wood, yep, Robert Wood, grant will be due right off the gates in the beginning of the year again as well. So I know there was another piece of playground equipment we were looking at. Is that where the direction we wanna go? Or do we wanna look at something totally different? Of course, not knowing where we're gonna be at with COVID and whether we can do our concerts. I'd hate to write the grant for concerts and then everything gets canceled. So we still can get the playground equipment, and those are pretty set, giving that amount of money every year, for that. So, any thoughts on what you want to accomplish with the regular grants this year?
Well, we are currently, using some leftover water revitalization money, and another group of consultants has been hired. This is through Melissa McManus. I walked with them last week in the 2 parks, and they're going to design a prettier entry to the playground area. And then they're going to work on some other aspects with Bill Earl Park, so maybe when we see what they come up with, we might be able to fund something there.
When are they gonna do that?
They're working on it now, I don't know when it's due, maybe December?
The Stewart's one's due by the 31st of January, and then the Robert Wood is March. So
Okay.
we have a little time for that, but I don't know if the Robert Wood one would cover anything like that.
Well, yeah, but I don't know what,
And we can look for other things in the Park and Recreation Department.
Amy, is there any grants that would, help us pave part of that rec trail?
Look,
That's a great idea.
Just came from a concert. Take
That's a
credit.
great idea. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a huge improvement if we
Yes.
could pave.
It's needed, yep.
Not only would it be nice, it would eliminate a lot of the erosion that we're
Yeah.
dealing with.
well, some additional work has to be done too.
Yes, in prep, but it would help.
We've gotta draw that water away from there.
all right, I will look for that. It seems that the grants are pretty tight
Yeah.
this year, more so than ever.
Well, that's understandable.
So, it's understandable, yes, absolutely, there's definitely priorities right now. On a side note, just with the COVID piece, everybody, there's an uptick in all the facilities, not all the facilities, but in a couple of facilities. This is not going away, and as much as you want to be with your loved ones, and see them at the holidays, we really need to focus on a creative way to do so, because a lot of the uptick is coming from these small family gatherings. And it's not pretty, because once it gets in with the elderly population, it goes like wildfire. And the last thing anyone wants is to feel guilty that you killed a loved one because you were reckless. The mask is so critical, so critical at all times. So, just be mindful of that.
Yep, thank you for that. Is that it?
That's it for me.
Okay, thanks, Amy. Report from the clerk treasurer?
Everyone received their October expense and revenue report.
Is there anything you wanna point out on any of those?
I think it's pretty good for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I think we're doing well. Presentation of the warrant.
We need to do a transfer from F882 to F8320.2, $39,560 to cover the new generator cost for the water plant.
35,000.
$39,560.
Okay. I make a motion to transfer from F82 to F8320.2, $39,560 to cover the cost of the generator.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Trustee Malinsky.
Aye.
Mayor McFetrich.
Aye.
We have additional invoices for the warrant of $6,540.86 for a total warrant of $68,447.57.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to pay the warrant with the additional items of $6,540.86 for a total of $68,447.57.
And a second?
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Questions? No questions?
I asked them all earlier.
I know you did. I know you did.
Unless I got good answers.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Malinsky.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor McFetrich.
Aye. Report from the superintendent.
Well, it's another month, as busy as the month before, but, streets, patching, paving some potholes, asphalting around mailboxes on Prospect. We did a few sidewalks where we had, water breaks, or for some reason the sidewalk was taken out. We figured it was easier to put asphalt for now. Some of these places may get disrupted again. We had a few culverts we had to install. I still have a bunch of streetlights that are out. NYSEG did come, they did fix some. There are some that need parts, they're waiting on parts, they got a hold of me. If residents see any streetlights that are out, there should be a ribbon on the pole. If there's no ribbon on the pole and we happen to notice, just let us know here and I'll put a request in. But the ones that are out, usually I try to flag them for a ribbon. A certain color means a certain thing for the NYSEG guys. I also purchased a couple LED yard or barn lights, which I installed, one on the Ashland curve, over on the sharp curve, and the other one in the Pocket Park. We had one that had failed. The flags, hometown hero banners, flower barrels, most of that stuff that was all taken down and stored away. On the water side, we did do a water service on Cedar Street, cut the road, put a water across the roadway, and then fixed the road after we re-asphalted it. So that's done. The new river crossing valve in Mill Street, I was here, we did that Saturday. So the new valve is in for the river crossing, the one that was never put in during the project. That's complete. I did have one water shut off on Spruce Street, we had to dig and change. That didn't work for a property that somebody purchased and is fixing up. I've had a few pressure reducers, 3 of them that went bad, that we had to go out and change this month. We did our monthly interim water readings. Hydrant flushing is in progress. Today makes our 3rd day on it. It's gonna go through all this week and next week, hopefully with no issues, we're hoping. On the equipment side, the Peterbilt had a bunch of work done. New brakes, dust shields, brake chambers, steering shaft, seal kit in the steering box. We had a wiring issue that we had fixed. I had to have both windshields replaced. We brought it for inspection. But I had to get both windshields replaced, both pieces, for the inspection. Hydraulic couplers we had to change. Most of them were so wore that they were leaking. We changed those. I do have heated wipers to put on there. I'm going to install very shortly. Sander's been repaired. I'm hoping, we'll probably by the end of the week we'll put the sander and stuff in the truck. If we can get caught up, I got a little bit more stone we want to get because we're going to have to work on Prospect. Trackless. The new shoes and nose cone came in. I'm waiting for the cutting edges. Hopefully anytime. The wastewater treatment plant, the generator, we had issues with the generator there a little while back. The mice got into it and chewed the wires and the circuit board, shorted the circuit board. So the parts have been ordered. We're waiting for that to come in. They've got to fix that, and I know the block here is went on that too, so they're supposed to do that at the same time. Our backhoe does have a code, can't seem to get rid of it. I may end up having to take that to the shop to get looked at. We all had MSHA training, which is a mine safety, something that's required. 2 of us went to lab class for our water license renewal. And I still got a bunch of work to complete. Shoulders on Prospect, where we prospected in some of the other streets where we paved. Still gotta remove the dock and the gangway. The wastewater plant, we have a crack in the wall, you drain the tanks down, we're gonna have to get down there and get the crack in the wall fixed, and there's also an air line that's leaking we gotta fix. The new water plant generator was delivered, and it's big. We still have to build our retaining wall, pull the old wire, move the conduit, pour slab. We got a bunch of work to get that up and going. And I have a bunch of trees that I gotta either trim or remove, which will probably go into the winter months here somewhere. Other than that, snow's just around the corner. Just a reminder, as Janet said, please don't park on the streets or on the sidewalks, so we can keep them clean. The other thing is trash cans, don't leave them in the right of way or on the sidewalks. I know you have to put them out for the trash people to come, but once they come, please pull them back to out of the way, out of the right of way, so we can get through. And that's all I have for my report. I do have a couple other things. We have a motor, a pump that went for the wastewater. These pumps are used at our Main Street lift station, which is 3 pumps, it's a triplex station there. And also we use the same pump down at the wastewater plant, we got 2 of them down there. So a little while back we had a pump that had failed. We sent it to have it looked at to see what it needed. I did get a quote to have that pump rebuilt. would cost $7,843. I also received a price on what a new pump would cost. I did get two quotes. The lesser of the two quotes is $9,308.40. So rebuilding versus buying a brand new pump, you're looking at a difference of $1,465.40.
Right.
And then that pump's been around for a while. We may be further ahead to purchase a new pump than to have the other one rebuilt.
Does the new pump come with a warranty, Mike?
Yes.
How long?
100,000 miles or 10 years. That's just a joke.
I don't remember, but on
Officially, there is.
usually on the rebuild, he gives me the same warranty as they give me on a new one. Typically. I'm just trying to see if it's on here. I don't think it does.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I don't,
I couldn't find it.
I don't see it either.
I had Woody round this up. I didn't ask him to.
Well, based on the dollar amount difference between having an old one rebuilt or just purchasing a new one, I would make a motion to purchase the new pump for $9,308.40.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Discussion? I agree with you, Tom. I think it's, money's better spent on a new one for that little bit of price difference.
But the old one you said might come with the same warranty?
Usually,
Rebuilt?
most of the time he does. I can talk to him and find out for sure. Didn't ask him because originally I had got a price from a new pump from him. It's on the back side of that sheet. And it was quite a bit more. Woody was able to go direct from the factory, and that's where we came up with the 9308 40.
And how old is the one that we're looking to refurbish?
Pardon me?
I'm not
How old is the
I'm
one that
not-
we would refurbish?
100% sure, but just a guess. I don't know if we bought any since I've been here. A long time. It's old. I don't know for sure, Amy. I can't remember when the last time we bought this particular pump. We might have purchased one since I've been here in the last 8 years. Because we had multiple of those pumps because we used, I think it's 5. We used 5. Right now we have 1 spare, but if we have one that goes, we have no spares.
So where is this, pump built?
Where's it built?
Yes.
Overseas, I'm sure. It's Flight brand pump, and I know they were purchased and built overseas, but that's what the pumps we have are. I tried to get a price for a different pump, and they don't meet the same pump curve. Because I tried to see if there was a different,
From what I see, Amy, these are the same exact pump.
they are.
The one,
Right, but you know, with all the issues with the different metals and the lower quality of metal coming out of the foreign countries right now, my concern is, normally I would say let's go with a new one, but the quality of what's coming out new these days has been subpar. So if we can rebuild in the United States and not
Parts are still gonna
take
come.
a risk on where this metal is gonna be coming from.
I think,
I would really like to know what country actually is going to.
The parts are all gonna come right from Xylem, the same place the new pump's coming from.
is that where the
the
original?
parts will
came
still be
from as
coming
well?
probably
Yeah,
from
It's a
overseas.
Flight pump. They got bought out a few years ago by Xylem, bought Flight. But it's the same, that's where all the parts come. The manufacturer makes the parts. Doesn't matter who rebuilds it, it's all gonna come from the same.
Well, we have a motion on the floor. Is there more discussion?
The lead time on the new one?
Probably gonna be long.
I can't answer that. It's gonna be a while.
So,
Everything's slow.
so now I have to ask, would it
Parts is
be,
gonna be a while, cause they gotta wait for them. We're still waiting for the parts for that other big 25 horse pump, they haven't come in yet from, I mean, the last big pump we ordered took like
So
6 months.
Parts versus.
essentially, we're looking at the same lead time in either the rebuild or the new? Possibly.
Possibly.
I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
And I didn't have Woody, when he got me the quote, I didn't ask him.
I mean, it could have a
Meantime.
pump in stock and not have parts.
Sure, so.
I mean, I can find out, but it doesn't help us tonight.
But we currently have a backup pump.
Yeah, but we have 5, and 3 of these are in the Main Street lift station.
Okay.
So we have one backup.
But
We have 1 backup for
if
5
another
pumps.
one goes, we replace it with our backup one.
Yeah,
So,
But we have five pumps.
Then if another one goes, we're SOL.
I remember talking about this a couple of years ago with Greg, you know, we just always have to make sure we're going to be covered. I don't know, do you feel like one is ready to fail, so we're gonna use our backup, or?
as far as failing is, you don't know, what happens, they get worn out, and then they have a lot of runtime and they're not pumping the water. Because they get wore, you get underwear, you get rags, you get all kinds of stuff. So you see the hours go up on a pump, and that's usually because there's an issue, you just can't pump the water. I mean, when we really need them is, springtime is bad, because we have so much flow. A lot of times all 3 pumps are running down to Main Street. Cause if they can't keep up, it's coming out in the main hall of corner of Senior Street. I mean, I don't know, I can find out lead times, I mean, obviously it doesn't help us tonight, but, however,
Well, we're still gonna have to vote on this motion.
Right.
I'm a little less, I mean, this is sewer, we're talking about
Correct.
sewer. I'm a little less concerned about, the sewer fund, because
Yeah.
we can afford it. But if you feel there are other issues in terms of the quality and where it's made and the warranty,
Well-
then,
once another one of these is worn out, we're gonna have to do this again,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I can,
well, we're kinda kicking the can down the road, but maybe we have some unanswered questions, I don't really know. I guess we just vote and find out how you feel. Does that have to be roll call?
this won't be the last one we buy, I mean, we've got 5, so
well,
the next one
what
goes,
we
we're
have
gonna
in
do it again,
that account.
you know?
So maybe what we
Also to
should,
find the lead time.
maybe what we, just a suggestion, since we're talking like, we're gonna need that spare soon anyways, more than likely. Maybe we should get this order in on this new pump, so we have one coming, and at the same time, send this one to be rebuilt for a second shelf unit.
We have 12,800.
12,800.
And what else, Mike, are we needing this year? Cause that's
I don't know.
literally gonna leave us under 3,000.
But we also have 58,000 in sewage treatment and disposal equipment, so.
Can you hear her?
We also have reserve funding.
Okay,
We also have 58,000 in the sewer treatment and disposal equipment.
Would
All
this
right.
be in
There's
this?
money in there to
yeah,
cover it.
that's
There's not-
the
it's-
account that we do have some,
Yeah, like I was
we do
gonna,
have some money
when
in
we
that.
get, when we get to it in the, agenda, there's gonna be probably money we need to move
Mhm.
into reserve.
All right, well, let's vote on this motion then.
Can I ask one more question?
Oh, of
please?
course, yeah.
So what else are we looking at, Mike, to need to purchase out of our sewer funds? Rather than getting backups?
Well, I can't answer that until something breaks, I don't know, I mean,
Well, right, so you
Everything's
can't
getting
answer
warped.
that, I get that, Mike. But we're buying a backup pump. What I'm asking is projected out there, age of equipment that we have, what do you think is reality of what we're looking at? Is there going to be something that's, and I know, you can't look at a fortune cookie, I get that. But based on how old equipment is there equipment that you're seeing that will need replacement if we're going to take, you know, a large chunk of, you know, over $9,000 here for backup?
well, it's, I don't know, I mean, we've got 5 of those pumps, so you've got 20% chance that either one of them can fail, I can't answer that question, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know when something's gonna fail.
We also have quite a bit of money in special reserves, which is for equipment in the sewer fund.
And we've got a large fund balance of unreserved. and we need-
Correct.
We need to move more in
Correct.
reserves.
I mean, these pumps aren't going away, we can't just put a different style pump. The rails, everything is set up for that brand. So, cause I looked at trying to go with this, if I could find a less expensive pump, and they don't match up, and the pump curve doesn't match up, doesn't flow the same gallons. It has to stick with that brand pump, because that's how they were all set up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, to keep in mind is that, we know that plant is old, but we also have, a large project that's going to, hopefully be awarded, and not only the part that we're required, but also a lot of upgrades at that plant. That will take care of many of the problems. I mean, there are
Right,
problems
so
there.
if we do those upgrades, are they gonna be the same kind of pumps?
Yes.
To have backup pumps for just in case.
No, they will remain the same kind of pumps. Yes, that's my understanding. I'm not a sewer expert here, but they'll remain the same pumps, right?
Yes,
Otherwise you have to change the whole
Right, but
station.
the other thing is too, we get these pumps now, another one, and the warranty, it could sit for years before we need it.
No, that's okay, I just stepped away from my computer.
Yeah, I saw you disappeared.
Must have been a dog.
What would a normal warranty
But you can't wait till it goes down to purchase one. That's the
Right.
problem.
We already have a backup one, Mike said, we already have one that's our backup.
we have,
setting.
we have one backup and we have 5 in use.
I understand that.
So in other words,
So I think
whatever
the
you
feeling
decide.
is that there may be two that fail.
Right.
or one fails and then the second one fails before we get the new pump
Right,
because of lead time.
yeah.
If they fail within 4 weeks apart, we're gonna be screwed.
I mean, if she wants me to see what the lead time is on this, if you want to table it to the next meeting, then.
Well, I
you
think-
have one,
I don't think
I-
we should, no. I
We
don't
might
think
not
we
come to
should.
a consensus, but let's vote on it. There is a motion on the floor. I think we have to vote on it.
Agreed,
Agreed?
agreed.
Okay. Is that a roll call?
Trustee Malinsky,
Aye.
trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Garrick,
No, nay,
trustee or Mayor McFetrich.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Just, but I have a low battery on my phone. I've gotta plug you guys in just a minute here.
I was just gonna say, Janet, we lost your video.
Oh,
Put it in the crack,
Yeah,
put it in the crack if you
so move the table a little bit.
got it.
There you are.
Okay, yeah, just a sec. I had to, okay, this is a little awkward. My cord's not very long. Okay, sorry if you're gonna get a weird angle, but that's the way it has to be. Okay. All right, so that motion carried. Anything else, Mike?
No. Water credit, are they gonna wait till you before? it's
Well,
done?
We'll wait
that'll
till it-
go when we get
That's
down
it,
there.
that's all I
Yeah.
got.
Okay. Correspondence?
Sales tax distribution from July 1st to September 30th, 2020 in Clinton County Treasurer. Correspondence from engineer Doug Ferris with report on 11167 Route 9. Correspondence from Mayor McFetrich to Stephen Trombley, owner of 11167 Route 9 property. Correspondence from Champlain Fire District regarding inoperable fire hydrants. Notice of violation to Spectrum Rentals, 29 Cedar Street. Notice of violation to Total Estate Corporation for 11158 Route 9. Notice of violation to Lorraine Moynihan for 188 South Street. Notice of violation to Steve Trombley for 11167 Route 9. And notice of violation to Becky Harvey for 127 Elm Street.
Number 10 is when
Is that gonna
they
come
go
under
south.
correspondence, or are we just gonna do it under new business?
I didn't do that as correspondence, I just did it as.
Okay.
Okay, we'll wait.
Could be.
A couple of things on the correspondence. I just want to mention that the sales tax revenue for the quarter was only down about 8%, which is good news. Last year, this quarter was just a little over 35,000, and so this is 32,000, so that's good.
That's good.
The other issue is the letter from the Champlain Fire Department regarding the fire hydrants. I asked Mike Joliker to speak on this issue so you understand where we stand with this, and I will respond to the fire department. But can you explain that, Mike?
So there's a couple hydrants we have bagged, one over here on, just past the phone company. That one we cannot draw off from. Every time they draw, well, that one right there is, right now is inoperable anyway, it doesn't, you can't open and close it, but that section, the badge section, usually when they're drawing off that section, usually it's the one down a little further by the barber shop, we end up with a broken water main. The pipe is so bad down below the hill and up here that you get a surge from slamming valves open and closing the fire trucks, and it usually ends up blowing the main. So up here we have it idled down, we have it through the 2-inch side valve, not through the 8-inch main valve, so we wouldn't never be able to put enough flow to that hydrant down below anyways. But until we get this line plate replaced, those 2 hydrants will stay out of, probably stay out of service. There is one on the corner of Pine and Main, and there's one on the corner of Church and Route 9 down below the hill.
So just so you understand why those have to be bagged, and I'll respond to the fire department with that explanation. New business, complete streets resolution. Just give you quickly a little bit of background on this. Clinton County Health Department has a grant that they're using, and part of it is it's the New York State Health Foundation grant, and it supports complete streets to make them safe, to have safe spaces. Municipalities that pass this resolution will be included in funding opportunities. And this is to promote safe access and mobility for roadways, sidewalks, bike lanes, crosswalks, and also to promote the idea of increased biking and walking. So we have this resolution here. I will read it quickly. I'm sorry, it's lengthy, but Village of Champlain Complete Streets Resolution establishing and adopting sustainable complete streets policy. Whereas complete streets are defined as streets that are safe, convenient, and comfortable for all ages and abilities using any mode of transportation, motor vehicle, public transportation, foot, bicycle, etc. And whereas sustainable complete streets are defined as complete streets with elements of design, construction, and operation that also serve environmental sustainability. And whereas complete streets design features and practices include, but are not limited to, sidewalks, paved shoulders suitable for cycling, designated bike lanes, lane striping, share the road signage, crosswalks, curb ramps, audible pedestrian signals, pedestrian crossing signage, traffic calming measures such as curb bump outs, center islands, and pavement markings, sidewalk snow removal, and routine shoulder and bike lane maintenance. And whereas streets that support and invite multiple uses, including safe, active, and ample space for pedestrians, bicycles, and public transportation, are more conducive to public life and efficient movement of people than streets designed primarily to move automobiles and trucks. And whereas promoting pedestrian, bicycle, and public transportation travel as an alternative to the automobile reduces negative environmental impacts, promotes healthy living, and is less costly to the consumer. And whereas the full integration of all modes of travel in the design of streets and highways will increase the capacity and efficiency of the road network, reduces traffic congestion by improving mobility options, limits greenhouse gas emission, and improves the general quality of life. And whereas many studies show that when roads are better designed for bicycling and walking and transit use, more people do so. And complete streets has been recognized and adopted as policy and law at federal, state, county, town, village, and city levels in the interest of improving safety and accessibility for all users. And whereas the Village of Champlain will explore the maintenance and enhancement of pedestrian, bicycle, and trail connections within the Hamlet Center and address, I guess that should be Village Center, and address issues of these amenities as needed. And whereas the design and construction of new and existing roads in the village of Champlain should anticipate future demand for biking, walking, and other alternative transportation. And whereas sustainable complete streets are supported by the Institute of Traffic Engineers, the American Planning Association, the American Public Health Association, the State of New York, and many other transportation planning and public health professionals. Now therefore be it resolved that the village of Champlain will, to the extent reasonable and affordable, view all transportation improvements as opportunities to improve safety, access, and mobility for all travelers in the village of Champlain, and recognizes bicycle, pedestrian, and transit modes as integral elements of the transportation system. And be it further resolved, the village of Champlain and the Board of Trustees intend to add complete streets concepts into the village of Champlain comprehensive plan. And be it further resolved, the village of Champlain will make complete street practices a routine part of everyday operation, will approach every transportation project and program as an opportunity to improve public and private streets and the transportation network for all users, and will work with, in coordination with other department agencies and jurisdictions to achieve complete streets. And be it further resolved, the village of Champlain will consider incorporating complete street design features and practices in planning, design, approval, and implementation process for any construction, reconstruction, retrofit, maintenance, alteration, or repair of streets, bridges, and other portions of the transportation network whenever feasible. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Motion to accept this.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
So,
Aye.
wait,
Oh,
question.
yes, sorry.
Question. I always have a question.
No, that's good. I like questions.
So, is there any obligation to do things? I know it puts us in the running for grants, which is great, but if say for example, we're working on a sidewalk, okay? Now, are we required to do everything according to how they say to do it, which could be more cost to us than
Normal.
we would have anticipated?
My-
Just wanna make sure on that.
My understanding is no, our commitment is to consider their recommendations whenever we're doing any kind of changes to sidewalks, streets.
Right, so wherever feasible.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
And how do we attain those recommendations?
There are a lot of recommendations on their website.
Okay.
I also think that the consultants that are working with us, part of that plan at the playground is to soften the traffic from the actual playground. You know, right now we've just got a fence there, but there are ways where you can do plantings, you can rearrange things to make it less impacted by traffic.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers you or not, Amy.
Well, no, I know what you're saying, and I get it, I did look at it, I just was concerned of possible hidden costs to us.
I don't think there's any cost. I think it's, we are sharing a commitment to considering their practices whenever we plan any kind of retrofit or construction, or, not that we have too much here, but
Would it come into play when we tear up this state route to put the water line in? Do we have to do anything there in regards
No.
to curbing and sidewalks?
no. I don't believe so. I actually think having our Main Street a state road is very limiting what we can do.
Mhm.
The ideas of complete streets is to put an island, so traffic has to slow down and go slowly around an island. If you know Kennedy Avenue in Plattsburgh, they've got an island there that you have to drive around.
That's what we need, a roundabout down
Yeah, oh yeah. Being that we're on a state road, we don't have really much input in that anyway.
there. I'm just teasing, I'm getting tired. That was a good question, Amy, I agree.
It's a good question. I do not believe there's any financial commitment in passing this,
Or obligation.
or obligation.
Yeah, because that's really what she was headed for, and I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of our bike path, right, and all these expenses now that we have from it, that we're going to be there, so.
Well, I'm actually hoping that some grant money might come to help us pave it through this.
Right,
Through this?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
yes, through this.
Yes,
that's
because
what I was thinking.
because it becomes a safety issue. Now, so people can walk and bike and run more safely on that path if we were to pave it. So,
I like it.
Thank you.
all right, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion I didn't hear any nays, right?
No.
There's a little delay with the Zoom, so I'm sorry if I cut you off.
That's fine.
Okay. Reserve funds. I know this meeting is long right now, I don't think we have to come to any great decisions, perhaps, but I just want to have the board discuss quickly, the idea of putting some money in our different categories into some reserve funds. I would like to see a little more planning ahead for vehicles, for example. Mike and I have talked about how long vehicles last and should we put a little money aside each year.
Mhm.
We know we have repairs that come up. You know, I've talked to Woody about the sewer plant and, you know, he's talked about things like aeration tank valves and SCADA, which is a software alarm system. These are all things that we could put money aside a little bit at a time. We talked tonight about the water tower maintenance, if that's something that we're going to agree to, we need to plan for that.
Mhm.
You know, those are just things that I think we need to be thinking about, and we need to make a plan to where we're headed and how much money we're gonna commit year after year, so when we do need that, we're not struggling to pay for it.
Agreed.
I know you had you were thinking about the sewer plant, or?
Well, both sewer and water fund are very heavy in the unreserved fund balance. So there's plenty of room to
Mhm.
put funds aside, like in
Mhm.
regards to water. You know, currently you have reserved for repairs, but do we want a separate category to get ready for this new water line, or do we wanna, can we utilize that and just add to it? But essentially, there's, you know, there's unreserved $229,000 in there of fund balance. If you moved 100,000 out of there, you're still leaving 41% of your budget.
I need to pull that out, sorry, give me a second.
And the same with wastewater. Wastewater is even heavier, so you can prepare for a lot of the items you just mentioned.
Yeah, and you know, maybe tonight with such a long meeting is not the time to make any decisions,
No.
but I really think that we should, each of us maybe think about what different things we think should be planned for, and that kind of goes into the category of the comprehensive plan. And then come January, for example, when we start planning our budget, maybe we can also start talking about some reserve funds for specific things.
Yeah, I think you need to, because we're so heavy on our unreserved fund balance.
Yeah,
I mean, we really are. Like I said, if you moved 100,000 from that water unreserved fund balance, it still leaves you 41% over your total budget, which is high. So, yeah, we can, you know, I just threw some numbers down, same thing with sewer. If you move 200,000 to cover all the things you just had on the list, plus whatever we're gonna have to put towards our filtration project.
right.
It still leaves you 50% over
Mhm.
your total budget.
Mhm.
So you either gotta start
Spending it.
spending it, or we gotta start lowering rates.
Right, but I also think we need to have a plan. We need to have a plan of what we are going to need down the road, and not wait until something happens, and all of a sudden now we need it. We need a plan, and then we can keep adding the money to it, and then when we need it, we have the funds.
And I agree, when you go to general fund, you could do the same in regards to vehicles, we need a plan on
Right.
replacing them, because, yes, that's well known, I've looked at these vehicles, they wear out. You know, they get worked hard here, they're not your family car. And it's something they're not taken care of, don't misunderstand that, they're work trucks.
Yeah, they're work trucks, and yeah, and they're, yeah, they take a beating.
So, yeah, do you wanna table that?
Well, I'm just wondering if, how would the board feel if Tom and I met sometime before our next meeting and came up with maybe some suggestions, and then, I mean, we can't, unless we have a work session, we can't all meet. And then the other three of you bring your ideas also, and we'll share it at the next meeting, that'd be December. I'm open to suggestions on how do you wanna organize it.
Could do a work session so they all be together, I suppose, but we need a list of what we,
Well, Mike and I will get
Do
together
what we
first,
can.
and we'll talk about the different needs.
yeah. Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, all right, so you and I will get together, and then maybe you and I can sit down and we can just brainstorm some ideas, and then we'll present it, and we'll have some
maybe some
some
sort of,
brainstorming.
some sort of ballpark on how much we're gonna need for these things.
Okay, all right. Let's see. So the comprehensive plan, and again, I'm just gonna mention I'm gonna talk about this briefly, and I'm going to let it go. It is something I think that we should do. It's not a requirement by the state, although the state does recommend it. But it basically is identifying the major issues that we see, analyzing the present, looking to the future, setting goals, and deciding how we're going to get there. And I would like to see some goals with some recommended actions. I think it would help us financially plan, and I think it would also help us focus on things that are challenges and ways that we can deal with them. So all I wanted to say is I am recommending that we do start that at some level. It can be a very simple plan, it doesn't need to be a 50-page document, but I think it's really important in terms of the, our future decisions. That's all I'm saying. That's just information.
Okay.
So I'm going to bring it up again. All right. Purchase of the laptop. Is that you, Mary?
Kind of.
Can you hear Mary over there?
Mike Joliker is in need of a new laptop computer, for the meter readings. And the one he has now fades in and out randomly, so we're kinda looking at a rugged or a tough book kind of laptop for him. I've checked with, EJ Prescott, Chris Goodrich, who suggested, one of the ones he suggested was the, Panasonic Toughbook and also Latitude rugged laptop. They kind of range in cost from $1,600 to $2,200 or $2,300 for one that he would need for the programs that are on there, and something that's gonna stand up to being carried around in the truck in rain
Weather.
and snow and weather.
Rain.
So we're just looking for some kind of maybe a dollar amount approval for a laptop for Mike.
Well, can't we get some quotes and see?
Well, I have printed up later this afternoon, I printed up some, estimates I got through Dell. We got the quote from Twin State, which was pretty high, directly through Dell and some on Amazon that I can send out to people.
Yeah, I would rather you send it out to us and maybe we could do a quick Zoom that takes 2 seconds to do a vote on it, just have the information to look at first.
think that's a good,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's a good idea, Amy.
Okay.
Mary can get those quotes out, and then we can schedule a Zoom meeting, discuss it further. It's pretty, it's pretty essential. This has been very frustrating over the past 2 weeks. Half the time that doesn't work, he can't do that work. But we need some prices.
So all the quotes that you're getting are on this, higher grade laptop that can withstand.
Yeah, it's a
right?
tough-
It's tough,
Yeah.
but it's more for being outside in the weather,
Yeah.
more rugged,
Contractors,
because of the rubber, trouble is, when we do readings, it doesn't matter if it's pouring rain, with a regular laptop, it's probably, surprisingly went as long as we did, to the one we had, nothing else
So
happened.
those can't be read from the truck apparently, you have to get out some
You know,
places.
you gotta go and hook to the radios and do hourly readings. I do use that laptop for our main readings, but every month I have to go, anybody that's high, I have to go to every house, hook up and
Gotcha.
download, and they're mounted on the side of the house.
Yeah.
In springtime, you've got water and snow,
Dripping off the eaves.
yeah, so we gotta purchase one, we wanna make sure that it's something that if we get it wet and ruin it, we're back to square one. We're better to get something that can be outside made for the elements.
Yep, agreed.
I know it's more, I didn't expect it to be that much when she gave me the price, I was surprised. It's not a $500 laptop you go down to
No.
Walmart and buy.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
All right, we'll do that. I'll be in touch on that issue. Election notice designating offices to be filled. All right, 2021 elections, Village of Champlain. Whereas the next village election for offices of the Village of Champlain, New York will be held on March 16th, 2021. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain must designate by resolution and publish offices which are to be filled at such election and the terms thereof, be it therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain has determined the following offices to be filled and to be voted upon thereupon, with the terms of such offices respectively noted as follows. Mayor, term 2 years, trustee, term 2 years, trustee, term 2 years. Be it further resolved that as required by the village election law, number 15-104, parentheses 3, parentheses A, notice of village election be given at least 4 months prior to election date, and that the office to be voted upon be included in the notice. This resolution shall take effect immediately. A motion, please,
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Malinsky,
Aye.
trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Garrick,
Aye.
Mayor McFetrich.
Aye. Motion carries. Village of Champlain certification of unpaid taxes. This is something we each just signed. Right?
But if you wish to, like Tom probably has the book of taxes to compare the ones that are
I
going
just
to
wanted
be
to see it
levied
since I
with
was on the
what
sign
the
for it.
original levy was.
They're all correct, just from what I've seen, so if that's helps anybody signing for it. I don't have an issue signing for it.
Okay, so this certification of unpaid taxes, just needs to be completed. You can certainly view the original tax roll here at the office if you want to. And then just drop this off, correct?
Right.
Okay. All right, the only other thing we have is a water leak request for water and wastewater credit. There was a letter received from a homeowner. I think Mike should just quickly go through that again, explain what happened quickly and,
So we had somebody that had a high usage, they've had a high usage for a few times here, quite some time. I did go over to, they had some broken pipes under their place, that they fixed. And I went over to, hook up, get hourly readings to verify that there was no leaks. there was still some small leaks. I got ahold of the homeowner, he met me, we went looking for the leaks. We also did a pressure check on the house, and pressure reducer had failed, and typically they fail to the low side, but this one failed to the high side. So he was getting more pressure than we like to give him. So I did change the pressure reducer out. While I was there, on the meter, it was leaking by. I changed the pressure reducer out, we lowered his pressure, and the leak stopped. We did have a faulty pressure reducer there. He had wrote a letter for, credit for not just the wastewater, for the water side, due to, it was a pressure reducer malfunction. I don't know if you can see the letter, you guys all got a copy of the letter that I sent. And I did attach a photo, and you can see, I have the pipe actually here, but when I went to flex the pipe, you can see where in the picture where it's gray, that's the only part that was attached. Where it had been leaking is where it's orange, and you can see it on the edge of the pipe, where it had been running, for a while. So Mary and I sat down together and we did look at what the usage, typically is when there's no leaks. And on the first sheet, she calculated, or we calculated, whatever, what the average is compared to what he was charged. This is also, it's broke down in two because the leak carried over to, which is gonna be the next billing, when we do the next billing cycle, so we had to break it into two sections. If it's approved, whatever is approved, obviously would be, part of it would be a credit for the bill he has now. Once he knows, he's gonna come pay the bill, and then the next one would be for the next bill, for the next quarterly reading that we do.
Okay, so I've read this and I have no issue with it, but I have to ask, have we ever did a water credit before?
No, and that's,
No,
no,
And I know our policy only covers the wastewater,
right.
so are we setting precedence or do we need to?
That's
Create a
exactly what
policy?
Mike and I were talking about. If we take this as an individual case right now, are we setting a precedent for it happening again? And if these pressure reducing things are failing, how many are we going to have fail? And, do we need a policy? Or do we use the sewer policy?
Yeah, or do we revise it? Cause in this case, it's our equipment that
It is our
failed, which
equipment.
caused not only a loss of water to this person, but probably an expense in repairs and damages and et
It
cetera.
actually could be really damaging if the pressure was really high and blew out more than just causing a leak.
or if it was in somebody's place, it could be more devastating for sure.
This wasn't inside,
No,
luckily,
underneath,
okay.
one that went to a slab and on the ground, so.
So I
Other than
just,
him buying material and fixing his piping, it was no damage,
yeah,
in, you know.
that's why I say in general, I have no problem with this, because it was our equipment that failed, but again, we need to think about how do we deal with it in the future. Do we put it in the policy that it's limited only if it's caused by a failure of village equipment, or?
Well, that's something we
It-
discussed, and there are different kinds of equipment.
And it has to be looked at basically case
I guess
by case, just
but I-
like we do, you gotta meet certain criteria.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it has to be certain criteria, we're not gonna give a water credit if somebody's water softener went to bypass and stayed
Correct.
there.
That wasn't
That's not ours.
It wasn't faulty equipment that we had.
That's what I'm saying, so I
Correct.
think maybe we need to address the policy. I don't see a problem starting with this, but I do think we need to address the policy.
Well, do you think we should approve the sewer credit? And I know it puts him off a little bit, and then develop our policy in terms of the water? It's a
I
bigger
think-
discussion than just approving it.
Well, you could approve the water side with the intent of, okay, this sheds some light, we do need to create a policy now for the next occurrences, so it's specific criteria.
What
I
do the
mean,
rest
this-
of you think?
To me, this would fall into that criteria that we're gonna write, I mean,
Except we don't have it yet,
no, we don't.
so
You're
does
right.
that,
You're right, we
does that
don't,
set a
but
precedence for if something happens, next week?
only based on, we're doing it based on our equipment failing. Not any old water leak. We're making it specific on this one, that's how I would, how I would move
That's how
forward
they
with it.
really all would be.
Yeah, that's what they're all
Yeah.
gonna be. We'll just put it in writing afterwards.
Kim and Amy,
Going forward.
any?
Yeah, that's what I meant, going forward, thank you, I said it wrong.
Go ahead, Kim, you go first.
I agree. I think that, it is setting a precedence, but again, if it's our equipment that's failing, that is not the homeowner's fault.
Right.
Like they left a garden hose running,
Or a toilet running, or, I mean,
right, and just didn't take, excuse me, and just didn't take care of it. Luckily, was not the middle of winter and caused, a freezing issue. I do think it's gonna have to be looked at on a case-by-case basis, but if we could put off the water credit until a policy is developed, I think that's a good idea. I don't have a problem with the sewer credit whatsoever. But I do agree that I think we need to have a policy in place so that, the next person comes through and goes, oh, well, your piece of hose broke and now I've got this huge bill. If we don't have anything in place, we really don't have a leg to stand on. And it fails, so if we could hold them off on that and get a policy developed, I think it would be a better option for us.
Amy?
Yeah, I totally agree, and is there any way that, due to the high amount of this, that we put their water payment, give them, a delay in payment, while we work on this resolution here?
defer it.
Just defer it?
Thank you for the word.
You can thank Tom, he said it. I just repeated it.
Amazing.
Mary, is
I
that,
struggle with my words.
is
So
that,
if we can just defer that payment, the reality is we have to have a very specific policy that is very clear, because all of a sudden we're gonna have all this equipment that we didn't know we had that was causing breakdowns.
Yeah,
We've already put penalties on there, but those can be removed. We wanna give them extra time to do that.
The other reason, the fellow that owns it, it's a rental, and this building was for one tenant. The fellow that was living there now has a house he purchased, so there's gonna be another tenant moving in. So depending how the credit goes, it's not gonna go for the guy that paid it, it's gonna go for the next person. That was the only reason why he wanted to try to get.
so,
The other thing you can do is, if you could split it and do the sewer part, at least it would cut it down if you wanted to pay it, and then on the water side, I don't know how they're gonna, I don't
Well,
know
it's-
how.
yeah, it's clear the sewer part, he's going to get that credit.
but to the rest of the board, if we were to do this solely based on, we're admitting, yes, our equipment failed, caused this problem, and it's in the minutes that we are doing this one-time approval now, with the intent of addressing a policy, either revising the wastewater one to include water, or creating a new one for water, for that same criteria, I don't see why we can't do it now and just clean it up.
Because remember, Tom, let's go back a few years when this all came up originally.
Yeah.
and we didn't have something in place, and it bit us, because we would make exceptions and this and that.
Yeah, and I'm not
And I
suggesting,
don't see where there's a rush in putting off the water portion.
well, it's because of the
We're
change
gonna
of,
credit the sewer, but putting off
Change
the
in
water,
residence.
I understand the guy's gonna move, but, okay, so he's gonna have a forwarding address.
Well, he's right around the corner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still in the village.
so are we gonna be able to still credit him at a later date appropriately, or is this gonna?
Maybe we can give the credit to
Before the
a
next.
different account, is that gonna screw you up if you put a credit on a different account? Because
Yes.
he has, huh?
It will.
That's the only thing. 'cause
So that's it, he's not gonna be
Yeah, I
under
don't
that
know
account
how
anymore.
I don't know how the bookkeeping end works. I'm not sure.
Well, he's currently set a policy here. He's still gonna owe the bill no matter where he lives. It doesn't disappear because you move.
Is that right?
The landlord has to pay
It
it.
just rolls over to the next
It rolls over to
person.
the next tenant, because now we got a new tenant in there.
If it's passed, if we get it done next month, if we can
See-
get things finished up next month and give a credit before we do our next billing.
That's why I say, I don't feel it's a risk doing it now, as long as it's properly worded in the minutes, why we're doing it, and that we're gonna address it with a policy for,
When is he moving?
It's
The
already
next
written.
reading is
Oh,
until
okay.
But this is
January,
the
right?
last billing.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me that if we specify this is a one-time decision based on an equipment malfunction, we talk about what it is, and a policy is then going to be created, I think we're okay.
I do too. I
Yeah, but I-
agree with you, I understand what you're remembering and why we created our policy, but back then we were doing it like every couple of months, it was something, somebody had a leak and they were asking for help.
I was there and I verified it.
So that's why we created the policy, so we had a set of standards. That's what we're doing here, is we're setting our first standard.
And I think we have to be very specific, not just an equipment failure, we need to say exactly what that piece of equipment was, because as Mike
Yes.
told me this morning, I mean, there's other equipment that they could say failed and caused problems.
Yeah, I mean, somebody could have a stuck pop off on their hot water tank and it could do something
No,
to
it
their
has
home
to
and
be
it's,
village
that's
owned,
not
yeah.
correct.
I know,
Yes,
but
has to
I,
be
we
village
have,
owned equipment,
that's
Well-
why we need we do need a policy,
yes, I agree.
absolutely.
Well, my equipment failed with my water heater because the water ruined the tank and I had a leak in my basement, so I want a credit.
Well,
I
I didn't
brought-
see it.
I actually brought that up with Mike, how, before we had that,
So, let's bring it on.
before we had the softening system, we had a lot of failures due to the water.
Well, all you do is put a softener in your home and then what to happen?
It's
no
I
different than
did
dri-
a lot of softener in my house.
It's no
I have
different
one.
than drilling a
I
well.
have one
Beg
too.
to differ. I have a whole basement filled with ruined equipment from water, village problem, so your water.
Okay, so what are we gonna do here? Is someone, I mean, we don't even have a motion. so-
Okay, you're right, so let me put a motion on the floor to, give, was it Brian Langto, under this water account, a sewer credit of $120 and then an estimated sewer credit of $91.20 and a water credit of $131.25 and an estimated of $99.75 for next billing, based on our pressure reducer, the village-owned equipment, which failed and caused the pipes to burst. And I'm recommending that a policy be written to support this for future
needs.
issues.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Can we break it up and just do the sewer credit as one and the other separate? Or you just want them
Yeah,
together?
no, that's
Actually, that's a good
a good
idea.
idea, I like that.
Okay,
So,
redo it.
so the first,
Sorry,
start all over again?
sorry,
or-
Mary.
or-
Okay, go ahead.
You know.
Okay, so I make a motion that we are going to give a sewer credit of $120 and then an additional $91.20 sewer credit based on average monthly use for the next billing.
Is there a second on that revised motion?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion on that
Oh,
motion?
can I ask one more question?
Yep,
One more question on that, so sorry, everybody, I know, I'm exhausted too. The planned sewer credit coming up, but you said he's moving, so how are we gonna know what the average use is
We know
if
the
he's
monthly,
moving and there's gonna be a new
average.
tenant in there?
say it again,
We
Mary.
know the monthly
We know the
average.
monthly average, and we know what he's used in the past month, so anything different than that is what is part of this break. That 19,000 gallons is what is part of
No,
that
I
break.
understand that, and that's what it would be if he would be the continuing tenant, but he's
No.
now no longer gonna be the tenant.
No, that's what was used until it was fixed, we found it and it was fixed. So from there on out, it's gonna be what's actually used. For the next one.
So should we total,
Right, I understand that, but we still
We
have,
do monthly readings.
This is
we
monthly,
have months.
this is a monthly reading.
I know where you're going,
I do 3 readings a month, I do 1 reading every month, and then we do obviously the regular billing. And that's how I ended up catching this, so that, that 19,000, that's what was used off the next billing. That was, extra, we got a printout that showed it was running at, I don't know, it was 40 or 60 gallons an hour, whatever it was, until it was fixed. So now it's fixed, that would be the credit of the extra that was used from when we did the last reading until it was corrected.
so maybe,
That's
should the
not an
motion?
estimate, this is actual.
Yeah, so in other words, maybe the motion should just say a sewer credit of $211.20.
Yes,
Because that's what's confusing it,
that's what the.
is because it's split